Alright, so we're going to take a quick look at the iFlight iF8 radio. This is a video I wanted to make separate from the radio flight kit that this is going to come with. It's going to come in the iFlight, the Alpha A75 whoop. It's like a 75mm whoop. And also their goggles. That's going to be in a separate video, so make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on if you're interested in that video. For today, I'm just going to be talking about this radio and how this compares, in my opinion, to the Lite Radio 2 from Beta FPV, and also the Jumper T-Lite. And I'm sure a lot of people are, looking at these sort of game, game style controllers, and wondering which ones are the best and what would this be, who would this be most appropriate for. So this is, your standard 2.4 gigahertz radio. Obviously, you got these bigger handles compared to the other radios. These have the same gimbals as the T12 and the T-Lite, and obviously this being made by Radiomaster. If you guys are wondering, this is basically an OEM from Radiomaster. This particular version is going to look like the, I think it's called, let me call it the RM8 model, and it doesn't have a screen. There's a little expansion port here in the back. You slide this off. You get these pins here, but they're like these flat pins. They're not the same style as on like an X-Lite or on the T-Lite. And this is not for an expansion module, no crosswire or anything like that I'm aware of. This is supposedly for adding a screen that you can add. You basically slide it on. I think that's going to be in the plus version of this radio. I don't know if iFlight's going to be selling that or not, but you basically put that on here, and it'll have a little screen here so that you can access your settings for OpenTX.
Welcome to OpenTX.
And this does run OpenTX, and there's an SD card slot up here, which I was kind of wondering if it would work on OpenTX. So what I did was I took the there's a micro SD card slot right there. So I took the micro SD card out of my T-Lite, and basically it's the same SD card contents as the T12. Stuck it in here, and it said, "Welcome to OpenTX." Of course, you can't do anything without a screen, so it's kind of pointless or useless. I was wondering why there was an SD card slot there, and that's because they're going to have this screen out on for at least the Radiomaster model. I don't know about this particular iFlight model. I'm assuming since they're it's made by Radiomaster, they're probably will be compatible. But you can also see behind this cover here, you have your trainer port and also the the USB Type-C cable for charging. And that's also going to work for simulators as well. And this has an internal battery, no 18650 in here. And I didn't open this up. I don't know if it's a 2S or 1S battery. But yeah, I think it's a 2S battery. 3.7 to 4.2 volts. So I guess it's a 1S battery somewhere inside here. So it's going to be, the voltage limitations of the power setup isn't going to matter here because it's not going to connect with Crossfire anyway. So no external module issues. It's just, what are you going to use this for? And then, but by the way, there's also a speaker here, which is also how I knew that it was OpenTX, because it actually spoke that from the voice files. No trim buttons at all here, as you can see. So for those of you airplane guys, no trim buttons for you. You just have your normal 4 switches here. So 2 position switches here, and these are 3 position switches here. Now, the spacing here is better, so you're not going to inadvertently hit these switches by accident. A little bit shorter as well. But the one thing I don't like is that this, you can see the way the switch is held on there with these little red parts. Very sharp right there. So you're going to be like possibly cutting yourself or scraping yourself. You can see the marks left on my finger there. It's very unpleasant when you scrape your finger across that. I'm hoping that they would change that, but I don't know if they will or not. You may want to put like some sort of like a plastic piece over the top of this if you're worried about that, or maybe someone will probably create some sort of 3D printed part that'll cover that part of the switch here, because that does pretty much scratch you when you rub your finger against that. The antenna, it just goes all the way around. It's not detachable. Well, actually, it is detachable. Sorry, it is recessed here. It does not come attached, and this is looks like I think it's an SMA antenna, yeah. And then You obviously want to attach this, otherwise you will burn out the radio. This is not a multi-protocol radio at all. It's just D8, D16 mode, and then there's a bind button right there. So you have to push that to put it into bind mode, and I think you have to hold it for more than 1 second. And if you want to do like other than D8 mode, I think like in the manual, like you have to move the stick here to like one of the different positions for like say D16 or D16 LVT, something like that. I would consult the manual for that. But basically, you put the stick in the position that they tell you for that protocol, and then you hit the bind button, and then it'll bind in that particular mode. Now, I have tried binding multiple models, and it seems like it works. You can bind this to multiple models. So obviously, the transponder ID is inside the radio, so there doesn't seem any restrictions there. So you can bind this with multiple models if you want to. So you have 5 lights here, down here for the battery indication level. So you can just turn this on like this. It'll vibrate, and you can see this is fully charged. And then when it's charging, it'll light up here and go from 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to 5 lights, and it'll go back and forth like that when it's charging. And I think when the charge is low, this light will turn red, I believe. Yeah, but it's a really basic. Overall, it's a very basic radio. I mean, you could use it for your simulators with the the USB Type C port. You can obviously use it as a trainer function with the trainer port there as well, and but it doesn't have any sort of expansion capabilities, no capabilities in terms of like how to use it with OpenTX without the screen, at least in this particular form factor. So it's very basic, and it's going to be for just getting you started. In my opinion, the gimbals are way better on this than the Lite Radio 2. I know that there's some of you guys having issues with these gimbals failing because these are just potentiometer gimbals. I don't know if these are Hall sensor gimbals or not. I mean, they seem like they would be because they feel exactly the same as the ones on the T-Lite. So if you look at the way the gimbal looks, they look really similar. And obviously you can take these off, and you can also adjust these. You can put different stick ends on them. But yeah, the gimbals are very nice. No problems flying with them. No jitter. In terms of the gimbal, this is much better. So in terms of pricing, so the Lite Radio 2 comes in at $40. This one here, the iF8, comes in at $50. And so, in my opinion, that $10 is well worth it if you're just looking for a very basic radio for just like whoops and toothpicks, that kind of thing. Nothing too big. This is going to be completely fine for that if you're willing to stick with FreeSky D8, D16, because the gimbals are much better on this one, and it just feels a lot better in the hand in terms of the weight and everything. Yeah, this one, I think, in my opinion, is better. Oh, it does have the little lanyard hook as well, for those of you guys are looking for something like that. Yeah, in my opinion, spend the extra $10 and get this one if you want the better gimbals. I think also going to last longer as well. Now, if you're willing to spend a little bit more, I think another $25 more, and go from $50 to $75 for the jumper. I highly recommend that as well. If you're willing to spend the extra money, it's 50% more money from $50 to $75. So it's not chump change, but you're going to get a 4-in-1 module. You're going to get crossfire compatibility or expansion. You can expand to external modules here, although, and if you see my other previous videos, it's not all, it's not all perfect with the using the external module. There's limitations. You can get around that with some mods that I made a video about. But if you're looking to do more than just FreeSky and you want to do like, FlySky or Spectrum and maybe some of the toy protocols, to get the one with the 4-in-1 module. It has a screen built in already. You don't have to worry about it. It has the trim buttons. It's not perfect radio by any means, but it is a pretty good radio for the price. If you're willing to move up a little bit in price from this $50 radio here. But if you don't want to spend the money on this, if you don't need all that, this is more than adequate in my opinion. Yeah. I just wanted to, just cover this one by itself because I think people were kind of wondering where this kind of fits. It is kind of in between the Lite Radio and the T-Lite, and the pricing matches kind of what its capabilities are, in my opinion. So It really just boils down to how much money you want to make, how much money you want to spend, and what kinds of features and quality you're going to get for that money. So those are the little trade-offs. Obviously, for a lot of guys that have a lot of money, they're like, well, obviously spend the money on the bigger or the more expensive radio, get more features. But if you're really not sure you want to spend that much money, look at something like this, and you might be just fine for you in terms of just getting you up in the air. And for most people that are just going to be flying indoor whoops, for example, if you're doing indoor whoop racing, this is going to be totally fine for that. You don't really need anything more than this. Other than the fact that these sharp parts here are kind of annoying. I think there's going to be workarounds for that one as well. I'm sure people will come up with some solutions for that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I will have a future video on the full ready to fly kit. I just wanted a separate one because I know a lot of people have questions about this. I know that the Radiomaster one isn't out yet, but I'm pretty sure, based on the information I've received, the Radiomaster isn't going to look any different than this. It just basically has different branding, and this is essentially the Radiomaster version. It's just they decided to OEM it to iFlight first. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.